Hello everyone, welcome to Quilter's Vibe. This is our quilt inspiration for this month. I kind of lost my little slider with our little logo. It's hidden somewhere in my iPad. So we're just going to go without it for this month, but make sure to check out Christy and Daisy's videos for this month for their take as well. Okay, so from this quilt, I am taking the idea of the strips and the black background. I'm going to be using this collection from Photoplay. It's called You're a Gem. I have never used it before. It has been sitting untouched, brand new, in my stash for a really long time. My goodness, I got it over a year ago from Click Hits. So if you're interested in it, I'm not sure where to tell you to go to get it, but it's really pretty, and I thought it would look really nice with these photos. So I'm scrapbooking some photos from a retreat I co-hosted with Christina George in March. So it was the Secret Not Secret Kit Club and Rediscover Your Stash retreat. And I am scrapbooking these two photos of me and Shannon and MK, and both of these girls are YouTubers, so I will link their channels below. But I got to meet them and hang with them all weekend, and they were fabulously funny, and we had a really, really good time together. I really enjoyed them. Lots and lots of laughs. So I took these photos, and I wanted to add them to my album because it was just a really good memory. So I'm going to go ahead and since this collection, I've had it in my stash a long time, and it's gorgeous and beautiful. I am just cutting into it. I'm not even going to attempt to hoard it. I'm gonna cut into it. It's already been hoarded for a significant amount of time. So I'm just gonna cut, I think I chose 1.5 inch strips, and I'm gonna cut them down, and then all the patterns are gonna be in my layout. I usually do not use the black background, and I knew that I needed to add something to it. I don't like really dark pages, and I really liked the idea of creating some soft color behind all my strips of pattern paper. And so what I'm going to do is I'm taking my life-changing brushes and some Distress Oxides, and I'm just adding some color. So I'm going to add some picked raspberry, mermaid, lagoon, and vintage photo. Because there's like this brown color in a lot of the elements of this collection. I love the color palette in this collection. It's really different. And so I know I want to add a little bit of that brown. Ultimately, the brown does not end up showing up perfectly. And in the end result, I think you see a lot of the pink and the blue, but not a lot of the vintage photo, and that's okay. So I am putting quite a lot of color down on my black background because I know that I'm covering a lot of this area up, but I also want to make sure that you can still see it when the layout's done. So I just kept adding layers of color until I was happy with my background and I felt like it was big enough an area that you would be able to see it. I'm going to go ahead and back my cardstock, my black cardstock, with this geometric paper. And right now I'm just making sure that I like the look of that and that is what I'm going to use. And then I decide that yes, it is. So I'm going to trim down all of these strips and get them settled where I would like them to be. So the quilt inspiration for this month, those on the quilt design, it's strips of paper and then it has like little squares offset above and below the strips of paper, which adds interest. And so instead of doing something like that, I'm going to add interest by adding some fishtails and some little ribbon cuts and tearing some of the papers to add some interest to my strips as well. I'm going to use my T-square ruler to make sure that my strips are kind of evenly spaced. I'm not perfect at this by any means, but I just wanted something straight-ish. And now I am going to go ahead and map my photos. I'm going to do it on this pink paper that kind of looks like, you know what this paper looks like? It looks like, okay, my youngest son, Logan, is obsessed with geodes and rocks, and that's what this paper reminds me of. It reminds me of some of the geodes that he has saved up. Or collected, not saved up, but collected. And if it wasn't such a bright, a vibrant pink, I'd probably use it on the layout about his rocks. But I don't know that it would go with the colors of his rocks. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to give this, I matted the photos crooked on purpose, and then I'm kind of making the paper I matted it on straight, just because I wanted to do it that way, and I thought it was cute, and I thought it looked nice. And there are my photos. And I love, love, love how the photos looked against all these colors. I thought it was just the perfect collection. And now I'm going to flick through the die cuts. I'm going to grab a couple of die cuts, and I've also pulled some other embellishments from my stash, and we're going to put together all kinds, or some of the fun little embellishment clusters. I decided on this little card that says, "You brighten my life," and I'm going to just add some layers, and that card's going to act as my title. And then I'm going to go ahead and use this little ticket up at the top, and I'm going to use some of these little tags and just layer up some of these little bits and pieces that I've picked out from the die cut package. I'm also going to use some epoxy flare from Scrap and Happy Studio. I have been obsessively buying epoxy flare recently. They're super fun. They're like flat, gummy flares, and they're so cool. If you have not purchased any yet, if you have not bought them, if you have not seen them, run to Etsy and just type in a search Scrap and Happy Studio, and I promise you will be in love. They're so fun. So I'm going to start by, I decide that I want a little more, some layers behind my card, because the pink card was on top of a pink strip, and I felt like it just was not popping as much as I would like. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mat it with the brown paper, and then I'm going to tear the bottom of the brown paper. Again, interest, texture, something fun. And you can see the blues and the pinks kind of popping out from the Distress Oxide that I did, and I love how it looks. I think that it turned out, it's really a little, it's kind of subtle, but not really, and I think it worked out perfectly. Each of my little die cut clusters is getting an epoxy flare and sequins. These are Happy Vibes sequins from Spiegel Mom Scraps. Of course they're from Spiegel Mom Scraps, because I don't get sequins from anywhere else. And these have these gorgeous, like huge, reflective, tealy colored sequins. I love them, you guys. I love the giant sequins Jody's been putting in her mixes. They're beautiful. And so I'm just going to go ahead and start sticking everything down, my little die cut clusters with the fun little epoxy flares and the sequins for some sparkle. And here's a lovely frizzy redheaded shot for you of me finishing up my journaling. I tucked my journaling in underneath that noteworthy die cut. And I'm just going to go ahead now and do this last embellishment cluster, and then we're going to finish off our page. And we're going to do that with some Altenew white ink. So hold on, I just went over to my Rascog to find it. I don't know why I left this in there. Ah, there it is. Okay, so this is Altenew ink sprays. It's the white, and it is not, so it's going to kind of soak into the paper. So I'm putting a ton of it on, and I think this created the coolest effect. So because I put so much splatters on, when you do that, when you take this ink and you put so many splatters, some of them soak in and then some of them kind of sit on top of previous splatters. And so what you get is this amazing like bokeh look almost, and it's so cool. It looks like stars. And on top of that distress oxide ink, it looks so cool. It looks like a galaxy background type thing, which is amazing to me. So I am seriously like, just the trick to getting it to do this is to be incredibly heavy-handed with the splatters. You want those splatters to be just everywhere. Maybe not on your picture like I did accidentally, but yeah, lots of splatters. You kind of want to put 3 times as much as you think you're going to need, and then you get this gorgeous kind of galaxy bokeh type look. And that's going to finish our layout. I'm just going to go ahead and clean up a little bit and then add the background paper. And then we are finished. So thank you so much for joining me today. You can see me here. I'm working really hard to get this background paper on super straight. Again, I have straight issues. I can't make anything straight. I think I have a crooked eye. And that's going to complete this layout. Check out those splatters. Be sure to head over and take a peek at Christy and Daisy's layouts, and have a wonderful, wonderful Thursday. Bye.